Hello and welcome. Today, we will be analyzing the components of a battleship in Warship Craft. Hopefully, after watching this video, you will have a better understanding of how to produce your own. To understand the process of making a battleship, we must break it down into three components: the role, the class, and the origin. Role defines what you want your battleship to do, or how you want it to function. For example, the German Scharnhorst was designed to hunt cruisers. Because of this, it had a smaller gun caliber and less armor in exchange for a faster top speed and reload time. The Japanese Yamato was designed to be a floating fortress, and such was reflected in its massive primary guns and thick armor. In Warship Craft, your battleship's role is heavily influenced by the amount of resources you have at your disposal. Class is closely related to role, but it has many key differences. A battleship class not only defines its type of armament, but also describes the time period in which it serviced. Class can be categorized into 5 sub-tiers: the Dreadnought, the Super Dreadnought, the Battlecruiser, the Battleship, and the Super Battleship. Dreadnoughts and Super Dreadnoughts existed circa World War I, while battleships and battlecruisers were not commissioned until the Second World War. Super battleships never truly existed, but are generally considered to be one of two things. They can either be proposed super ships such as the German H-class project, or they can be modern battleship concepts. The Dreadnought class can be characterized as bulky, slow, and primitive. They are the ancestors of modern naval technology, and are famous for their smaller superstructures and unique turret arrangement. An example would be the Colossus-class Dreadnought. The Super Dreadnought class is the link between Dreadnought and battleships. They consisted of more armament than Dreadnoughts, as well as larger superstructures. The USS Arizona is an example of a Super Dreadnought. The Battlecruiser is a lighter, faster, and more flexible version of the battleship. During World War II, their primary targets were heavy cruisers. The German Scharnhorst and French Dunkirk are examples of this class. The battleship represented the pinnacle of a nation's technology, and carried with it the thickest armor, highest gun caliber, and most advanced fire control of any ship in the fleet. This is what the term flagship means, and every major nation had one during World War II. The Germans had the Bismarck, the Americans had the Iowa, the British had the Hood, and the Japanese had the Yamato. The Super Battleship class is characterized primarily by fiction. Other than the German H-class project, super battleships reside only as drawings, renderings, or concepts. The last component of a battleship is the origin. Origin plays an important role in designing a battleship, as each nation has very unique designs. If you are making a custom battleship, it is recommended that you implement your own design schemes and create your own fleet name. For example, my fleet is known as the CFA. This stands for the Conscripted Fleet of Alchemy. To design a fleet, you will need an acronym or significant word. Examples include VDD, Orion, Helix Pacific, DRN, etc. You will also need ship colors. Most ships require 3 major colors: one for the waterline and below, one for above the waterline and the superstructure, and one for the propellers. You can also choose to color your turrets and AA mounts differently as well. If you choose to build a custom ship that has a nationality, you will need to be careful in making it look as believable as possible. Personally, I do not encourage this, and the only ships I build with a nationality are historical models. The following turrets are considered to be battleship caliber turrets in Warship Craft. Next, we have a variety of secondary armament to choose from. Finally, we have anti-air mounts. Please note that if you are building historic, it is good to stick with AA mounts that have proper nationality. Exclude this guideline from turrets and secondaries, as the game does not have enough variety to get picky. Here we have turret placement. Please note that the type of turrets used in the images do not matter, and can be interchanged based on your preferences. The design scheme nicknames are as follows: the Hunter, the Crescent, Spearhead, Jackal, Lead Shotgun, Horizon, Brawler, Pessimist. What do you mean I have a third turret? Spearhead Silver, Night Owl, Cannon Fodder, and Big Boy. Determining the size of your ship is one of the most important components, and you will need to determine your preferred ratio ahead of time. Be sure to reference your information tab when you are laying out the framework. 6.93 to 1 is the length to width ratio of the Yamato, and 7.95 to 1 is the length to width ratio of the USS Iowa. Dreadnoughts have a smaller ratio, ranging around 5 to 1. Unless you are building a super battleship, it is recommended that your ship parameters stay between 7 blocks and 13 blocks in width. For reference, my USS Iowa is 9 blocks wide, my USS Montana is 11 blocks wide, and my IJN Yamato is 15 blocks wide. Be sure to properly balance your battleship when building it, and note that larger superstructures require more stability. It is a good rule of thumb to keep your hull draft at 2 blocks. Draft is the measurement from the bottom of the hull to the waterline, or where the red paint ends. You should then have 1 layer of armor above the waterline as citadel protection, and a final layer of deck above that, totaling at 4 blocks in height. If your ship is 7 or fewer blocks in width, decrease your height to 3 blocks. If your width is 15 or more, increase your height to 5 blocks. I strongly encourage that you design and experiment with creating your own superstructure, as this is a very recognizable and distinct aspect of your ship. Be sure to integrate it with your AA mounts, secondaries, and primary batteries. Make sure when designing your superstructure you take into consideration functionality. Imagine people navigating your creation. Think about where and where not to place engines, lifeboats, and fencing. Above all, pay attention to your capacity. A good rule of thumb is that the hull section of your ship, weapons and superstructure not included, should take up at most 40% of your capacity. If you are cutting it close, avoid crystal weapons, cranes, masts, and fencing, as these take up a lot of your percentage. Here are some examples of superstructure components, such as custom radars, antennae, conning towers, and such. Make sure you allot sufficient space to place down your engine. Usually this is located in the center of your ship. Unless you are making a super battleship, avoid aircraft carrier boilers and smaller boilers. Once your ship has been completed, it is time to do a quick analysis of your stability. If it is not above 100, it is recommended you do one of 3 things. Option 1 is to replace certain segments of your underbelly with triple ballasts. Option 2 is to replace armored sections of your superstructure with non-armored counterparts. Option 3 is to add a torpedo bulge such as the one displayed. If you are satisfied with your stability, your last task is to paint your battleship. If you do not have your fleet colors decided yet, here are a few camouflages you can implement: original, modern, Japanese, French, German, Arctic Patrol, American Royal, British, Russian, French Supreme, American, American Elite, Spangled, Phoenix, Emperor, Lunar, Coast Guard Alpha, Zero Dark, MLG, Cadet, Rocket Factory, Tundra, Pure, Vanta, Royale. Your battleship is now complete, Captain. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and you found it helpful. I plan on making more anatomical videos if this one is successful, so be sure to like and comment if you found it interesting. Subscribing is also appreciated. I look forward to our next encounter. Fair seas to you.